dark. Finally, I can see you crystal.
I want to see a deep water movie. Stick with me.
Yeah.
That's in a lake.
Oh, sure.
It's always in the ocean.
Well, yeah.
The abyss. We're in the ocean.
Yeah.
Deep Star 6. We're going to really push this to the edge. In the ocean. Leviathan?
Probably in
In
the
the
ocean.
ocean? Aren't they underwater in Virus?
I don't know. Probably.
Yeah, I think. Sphere?
Sure.
I did it.
All right.
That's the 5 points on the Deepwater movie star, right? I can't think of any other Deepwater movies, but they're all in the ocean.
Yeah.
What about a lake?
Like a bottomless lake.
Sure. When you swim in a bottomless lake, you die of exhaustion. No, just like, what about something like something's in this lake?
Like
it's like a lake in the
Lady
Lake
in the Water?
Titicaca, not Lady in the Water.
Oh, okay.
Not Lady in the Water. You know, a lake in the mountains, or you could just do one of those. Every once in a while, they do one of those. I'm not a huge horror buff. I like horror movies. I don't know a lot about them though, because there's like horror fans. Really, you think Star Wars fans like know Star Wars? Horror
Sure.
fans know horror movies.
Right.
So I can't tell, but I'm thinking there's probably a name for the genre of horror film that's like the yokel horror film,
Sure.
where it's set in like Canada, or it's set in like up north in Minnesota, or something like that.
Right.
And so it's like you could do something like in Lake Superior. Nessie's from Loch Ness, but in Lake Superior. Actually, we do have something in Lake Superior, don't we? It's like
Do we?
Goonie Gooboo or something.
Goonie Gooboo.
I know Lake
great name.
Champlain. They've got Champy.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, and these guys went out. They were just got fishing and beers, But
Right.
then something happened.
Right.
And
And maybe
I don't know why
it's-
they're underwater.
Maybe it's like ice fishing, and like their lure gets caught by like this giant fish, and it pulls them underneath.
Yeah, very biblical.
Yeah.
I was almost a marine biologist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody who, boy, I'd love to just kick him in the nuts today, convinced me to not go to the University of Hawaii and study marine biology. And who knows how my life would have been different. You wouldn't be hearing my voice now.
Yeah.
So maybe you wish for it too. The ball kicking line starts here. But I don't know about any. There has to be like a deep water lake habitat. Don't you want to know what's down there?
Yeah.
You put
Right.
a bubble down there, and then you have Kristen Stewart goes down there in a suit,
Sure.
and she's looking at deep water lake fish or something.
Sure.
And there's this shipwreck. This isn't on any map.
Right.
What's in here? Oh no. That might be the plot of the upcoming film
Yes.
Underwater,
It might be.
which, I mean, not inaccurate title wise,
They are underwater.
but not exactly creative.
No, I
Maybe
think
she
that's
also-
like the first try.
Yeah.
First round of names.
And also, maybe she doesn't get paid enough as a deep sea scientist, and so she's getting behind on her mortgage.
So she's underwater with her mortgage.
Directed by Adam McKay.
All right. Okay. Sure.
I'm a Stewart stan. As long as there are no follow-up questions, I am a
Sure.
Kirsten Stewart stan.
Sure.
Although I did not see Charlie's Angels.
Neither did I.
And I'm probably not going to see Underwater because I'm not in a place where when Hollywood and I are on the same page about T.J. Miller,
Mm-hmm.
until then I feel like I can support Kristen Stewart in other ways.
Sure. Right. Other films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like buying Breaking Dawn DVDs or something.
Right.
At some point, you're like 6 films into this thing, and like at that point, they didn't know it was going to go that far. They probably did the first one. And we're like, whoa, okay, that went the way it was supposed to go.
Right.
So at some point, you renegotiate, and then if you are just a 20-something-year-old kid who's now got a nice car and all the hair products you want, and I am talking about Robert Pattinson, then you go, let's talk points. Let's start percentage, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. So if you buy DVDs, maybe they're still getting some of that. So
Probably.
help them out that way.
Yeah, I think they probably are. Those movies did really well. So,
Although we talked last week, was it last week? Our year-end show where I was talking about how like 2019 was kind of like the year of selling out, people going
yes,
corporate.
yeah, we did talk about that. Yeah.
Speaking of Charlie's Angels And speaking of, Robert Pattinson will be the Batman soon. So
I know.
For all people's talk about like, oh, he's in these weird, interesting films, and he's a pretty good actor. It's like, yeah, but also he's doing Netflix movies and he's Batman.
That's all true, but yeah, Batman. So, which I'm excited to see his Batman. I'm excited to see how that comes together. Looking forward to it. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it's actually good.
He's also in an upcoming film from Christopher Nolan called Tenet.
Yes.
Which you have asked me not to. I've already figured out what the premise of the film is.
Right.
Because of Wikipedia. And so you begged me not to tell you.
I
won't
be surprised.
But suffice it to say that it seems like a spy-ish sort of intrigue, cloak and dagger kind of film. And so it's very fitting for the kind of thing that we're going to talk about today on the Just Enough Trope podcast. I'm your host, Calaman, joined as always by my co-host.
Hi, I'm Mikan Hana.
A show where we look at all the news that's fit to cast in the world of nerdy entertainment, and we explore the tropes found in genre media.
Yes.
And we wanted today to talk specifically about the tropes found in spy fiction.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The eagle is in the pickle barrel.
Right,
Repeat,
right,
the eagle is in the pickle barrel.
Yes.
Spy fiction, it's tropes from movies that we've seen, TV shows too, and specifically this week from the Doctor Who episode Spyfall Part 1, the first episode of the 12th season of the revived Doctor Who series.
Yes.
Starring Jodie Whittaker as the 13th Doctor and, of course, her companions. Mm-hmm. Spyfall!
Yeah.
We see what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did the same guy that named that name Underwater.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Underwater doesn't have a sort of a pun or a play on words.
No. I mean, obviously it is Skyfall, which was not really a great spy film. I'm sorry. I like Daniel Craig as Bond, but I think his best movie as Bond was probably the first one. I like the second one too. I think Quantum of Solace gets a lot of
Yeah, we've been
flack.
over that on the show. Let's not.
Yeah.
We don't need any flames.
Yeah, but
in a gas-powered hotel.
Sure.
You think a gas-powered hotel would be safer than that?
You would think.
Whole thing runs on natural gas, right? And then just one shot from Bond or whatever, or they crash a car into something, and then
right,
like the Titanic going down. Like, wait, don't we have like things in between the bulkheads to prevent this from happening?
Right.
Well,
exactly.
we're built poorly, so this whole hotel blows up.
Yeah, it's kind of silly if you ask me.
But it looked amazing, and I'll tell you something. For never having won an Oscar, no, he finally did, didn't he?
I don't know.
Roger Deakins covers a lot of sins. I think people love movies like Skyfall just for the look. And if you think about the plot, it makes no sense. There are specific things you can criticize.
Right.
I think a lot of people were really excited about Skyfall when it first came out, and now if they look back, maybe it was just also, Spectre and kind of the declining quality of the Bond movies in the Craig run. I think people are now cooler than they were in the past on Skyfall, but I think it still held up pretty high.
Yeah.
I never liked it, so
No.
I don't change my opinions. But but Spectre, no good. People are all in agreement.
Yes. Spectre was just universally bad. Hopefully the new one that comes out this year will be good. I know. It's kind of a tall order.
I am somewhat excited about it.
Yeah. Okay.
You? Also, again, hat trick. Not a good title. Not a good title. Sounds like a SNL parody of a
It
Bond
does.
film.
Yeah.
But what do you think? Excited?
I am excited. I just I have a couple of questions about it, and I'm I just hope they pull it out of the bag and
The diplomatic bag.
Yeah, and like, why is Christopher Waltz in it again?
Paycheck.
Yeah,
because they staked everything on him. They didn't have to do this. He
No.
could have been the author of all your pain
Right.
and also your half brother without having to say, and Le Chiffre was working for me.
right.
What? Why?
I know.
Why does that?
Why does
None
that
of
make
that
any
matters.
sense?
No.
And then we see Rami Malek in it, and he's like the bad guy, and it's like, I can almost like, and he says something like really ominous, and I don't even remember what it was now. But
he didn't know he was going to win an Oscar when he was making this movie.
Well, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I I want it to be good. I don't want it to be comically bad.
Well, I just hope that it is exciting.
Yes.
That was my argument for Rise of Skywalker, which is not a good film, objectively, either a Star Wars film or really an action film, but we are just so familiar with these characters.
Mm-hmm.
They got Wedge back. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I know.
I think there was just so much goodwill. And when you talk about a movie that's like, it's just a celebration, like, why are you hating on this?
Right.
You know, that we're not going to do this. I yell at people all the time for trying to relitigate The Last Jedi in 2020 now, but The Last Jedi posed to you a question, which was, why are we still doing this? And I would say that's a
Right.
dangerous question to ask.
It is.
And you don't really have an answer for me. And it just feels depressing, and like, you'd leave like, ugh, what? And this didn't, as light as air as it is, and probably really without any kind of significance, and kind of really botching a lot of the ongoing story. I'm making a really bad case for this. It's fun, and it moves at a clip. And that's all I want from this, The Rise of Skywalker of Bond films,
Yes.
which has to bring to a close this ridiculous story
Yes.
while getting it back on track when everybody hated the last film, which was
Yeah.
the penultimate chapter.
Yeah.
I hope this is just breezy and fun. And I think Cary
do too.
Fukunaga is the perfect person to direct this.
Yeah.
And the trailer doesn't look great. The trailer looks like a distillation of basically what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
Every single spy trope there is. It's like, I need you for one last run on this, buddy. You're the only person I can trust.
Right.
It's like, we have to go, wait, but I love you. Why do you do not trust me? And he's like, everybody lies about things. Hold on, I got to get my machine guns out of my headlights. Burn it. Burn. And
Yeah, I know.
yeah, if I never look at my watch and I never, at least during the run of the film, go, what?
Right.
It'll be a good film.
I agree with you.
Just like the opposite of Gemini Man,
Yeah.
where every second I was like, what? And it was
Gemini
way
Man
too long.
was-
Are we already doing the feature?
I don't
We
know.
gotta save the
if
feature
we
for later.
are.
So that's what we're talking about.
Okay.
And at the end of our show, for our feature, we'll be talking about what we were just talking about, a preview, and also giving a review of Skyfall Part 1, the first episode.
Spyfall.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's their fault.
They tricked you.
It's their
I know.
fault.
It is our fault.
The first episode of the new season of Doctor Who, which we have not talked about Doctor Who
yes.
for an entire year on this show.
That
so
is correct.
we want to get back into that. And we'll be doing a little bit of news as well. And real quick, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Cal.
All right,
Happy
great.
New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you too and to our listeners.
Do you think that underwater films with their claustrophobia are similar to like space films where you're like trapped on a ship?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean my favorite genre of films?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think probably underwater films. I wouldn't call them my second favorite, but they're definitely sort of grandfathered in.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like, he came to live with us when he was just a baby, and we just consider him to be part of the family. Yeah. That's why I like Leviathan. I love Peter Weller. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
I wish there was more of them.
Yeah. More underwater films?
Yeah, there has to be more.
There has to be. What about like Waterworld or something like that?
Waterworld literally takes place on the surface.
Oh, okay.
The whole thing.
All right.
I mean, Kevin Costner swims really deep one time,
Okay.
and they're looking for land.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Are there any
Not being in water is the goal of Waterworld.
Waterworld.
Yes.
Okay. Are there any
We hate Waterworld.
Are there any video games that are take place underwater?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're just going to do this instead of spy stuff?
Well, I'm just
Really quick, and
curious.
then we'll talk about the news. Yeah, there's a great one called Subnautica that came out recently.
Okay.
And you are stranded on you crash your spaceship on an alien planet
Okay.
that is, an aquatic, an ocean planet covered with water.
Okay.
And then it's like Minecraft kind of. It's a survival game where you have to craft things. And
Okay.
you start off with just a little escape pod that floats, and then you're like, oh, fish. Grab, eat. And by the time you're done, you are, driving your own like mini submarine, with like a detachable robot thing that drops out and mines stuff, and you have to go deeper and deeper to like the center of the planet to like solve this mystery. But it takes a time because you have to develop your technology and like maintain your habitat, and you have to eat all the time, and so it's pretty great.
Sounds interesting. I think that like games where you have to eat all the time, that that's just an added like complication.
Yeah.
Like, oh, remember to eat, dum dum, otherwise you don't have any energy.
Yeah. They never have you eliminate though, so not very realistic.
That's a fair point. Not that I really necessarily want that in my video game.
You never say James Bond take a crap either.
No.
And Mario's eating those mushrooms, but they're just disappear. It doesn't get to the end with the castle and why is he running in there so fast? Because he's going to the bathroom. Let's talk about the news. Well, it had been all quiet for a while in terms of news about the Uncharted film at Sony.
Yeah.
And that seemed like no news was good news. But now there is some news. The news is the director, or the supposed intended director, Travis Knight, has left the project due to scheduling issues.
Mm-hmm. So this movie has just run into problem after problem.
This movie began development almost 10 years ago, I think, with David O. Russell.
Wow.
At least producing, if not directing, with Mark Wahlberg, or Mock, I almost said it right. Him attached. And it has now gotten down to, if you don't know, Travis Knight is the guy behind Leica Animation, who had done, amongst other things, the Kubo and the Two Strings film.
Sure, yeah.
Which was pretty good film. And so he hasn't done a lot of live action, but I was interested to see what he would have done with an Uncharted film.
Yeah.
With currently Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg scheduled to star in it.
Yeah.
Now we've lost him.
Yep.
And we did it specifically because Sony, understandably, wants this thing to come out right now.
Yeah, right.
And that's just not how you make a good movie.
Well, and
you don't have
Sony
to you don't have to boyhood this thing, although they're close at this point. But they just want to push it out, and they're going to, before you even get an egg, this is you reaching into the goose's cloaca to tear out a golden egg,
right?
Before it's even laid one,
right? I think they should. I feel like they, of all people, should know that, like, that's not how you make a good and productive
no.
film.
Sony does not know that. Sony has never known that.
Do they just
looking
not
forward
learn
to
their
Jason
lessons?
Reitman's Ghostbusters 3.
Yeah, I know.
See, they're little kids.
I know. And I just don't think, like, I like Tom Holland. I think he's a good actor and everything, but I don't think that he
is Nathan Fillion?
Nathan Drake? Yeah. I don't think he's a good fit for this.
Yeah.
Which I think is also something against this. Just saying.
And Mark Wahlberg, who is like 52 or something like that,
right.
does everything he can to look 35, and he's going to play, I'm too old for this, Nate.
Right.
Like the cigar chomping, Hawaiian shirt wearing thing. Like, we have gotten to a point where everything about this is twisted and bad.
Yeah,
This
absolutely.
is, you were the chosen one.
I know.
You were supposed to make a good video game movie.
I know.
Not do this.
This is damaged goods before it's even made. So.
Yeah, but I mean, speaking of David O. Russell and problematic people, I just didn't have a good start.
That's
and
true.
They're still doing it. And the only thing to do at this point, and I think that this is a popular video game series, one of the most popular video game series.
Definitely.
It could totally succeed. There's plenty of story material. It's an engaging character. Spielberg wants to keep making these Indiana Jones movies.
Yeah, I know.
So apparently, Tomb Raider's failure aside, there is a thirst for this sort of adventure storyline. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think it's going to, I don't know, it might do well with those two, but I think it's going to bomb, and we'll just see another one in another 5 years, or maybe another 15 years.
Right, they'll reboot it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But hopefully not. Hopefully they can turn it around, and we can get a cool movie out of it. Speaking of movies, and moving into a little bit of news about these streaming services, we have the streaming update. What do we call it? A river runs through it.
Wow. Don't cross the streams.
Don't cross the streams.
Yeah,
cross
I don't know.
Streams. Yeah. I'll do one. Stream a little stream. And if you stream a little stream, try Flomax.
Oh my goodness.
To sleep through the night. It looks like Disney is losing movies. Speaking of things coming out at night.
Oh boy.
You get your Disney Plus subscription.
Yes.
Disney is the largest, I'm assuming, IP holder in the world,
Yeah,
or at least
it
the
seems
stuff that
that
you
way.
want to see, and you figure we're set.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can see these movies forever, no problem, permanently available, no licensing deals to fall apart or whatever.
Right.
And yet, many people have taken note of the fact that more than a few films are disappearing from Disney Plus's library.
Really?
Films like Dr. Dolittle, starring Eddie Murphy, Pirates of the Caribbean, On Stranger Tides, which is the fourth one, I think. I don't know. The Home Alone films.
Why are they disappearing?
Disney has not commented.
That is really strange. And it's even stranger that they're not commenting. And I know that they're going to be doing a reboot as such of Home Alone. So I think it's strange that they don't have that.
So, great observation. What's coming out, I think this month, Dolittle. They're
right.
working on a new Pirates film. Like you said, they're rebooting Home Alone.
Mm-hmm.
The Sandlot, too? Are they going to do another Sandlot?
I hadn't heard anything about that.
What would you even do? You can't even. The whole point. Yeah, right.
I did. I absolutely loved it.
Sure. I've seen you PF flyers. But it doesn't. It's not even a thing because it's like playing Sandlot ball in the 50s. What is it now? It's like, give me that Atari controller. Like they're
sure.
I
right.
played Sandlot ball around the time, if it's going to be like, Richard Dreyfuss is an old guy now or whatever.
Right.
Around the time that this would have to be set, I played Sandlot ball, but that was weird. Not a lot of people did that.
Sure.
So, I don't know, man. Like, or do you do this? And let me be sensitive to talk about something outside of my experience. But do you do something else like, now you call professional basketball games, but you grew up in the inner city and you had adventures and played basketball on the courts with your friends.
I can see that.
And most of you are African American or not white.
Right.
Because there's just some things, I put my fishing cap on and I call these games. Or
right.
Was it, speaking of that, was it Stand By Me where it's just a Stephen King story, so like everything's terrible. So like Kiefer Sutherland like almost stabs everybody, but then they get away and Not If I See You First, it's great. And then it's like, Benny was shot in a McDonald's after that, and did the Sandlot have were their lives depressing too? Didn't Billy Jackson, the baseball player, wasn't this like remembering him on the eve of his death? I haven't seen the Sandlot in a while.
It's been a long time since I've seen it. I feel like most of
this
their
is where
lives
our producer would look it up.
Were uplifting, but they did have the thing at the end of the film where it's like, so-and-so grew up to blah, 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 blah.
Right, but didn't one of them grow up to be dead? And
I
then
think
like
so.
one of them grew up to marry, his abuse victim, and everything is just problematic these days. And honestly, it should be.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that when we talk about Spies.
Yes.
So anyway, we don't know what's going on with that. Some sources say that it is just the remnants of licensing agreements. Some of these are maybe co-produced or co-funded, or you've sold it to Netflix and something else, and so there are complications. But I think the fact that they are all those things that we just pointed out
like they're
is
remaking
telling.
them.
Yeah.
Okay. I just think
Disney
it's
Plus
weird.
died in a garbage truck accident after let's talk about Apple's streaming service.
Oh boy.
Apple TV Plus. Apple TV Plus has hired Richard Plepper.
Okay, I have no idea who that
This is a little inside. Richard Plepper, who was a former HBO chief. He basically built HBO into the network that you know it as today.
Okay.
Now, I'm not talking about like the Dream On Arliss days. I'm talking about like the sort of second coming, Game of Thrones, Big Little Lies.
Sure.
That sort of thing. Well, he has been hired by Apple TV Plus to do the exact same thing.
Okay. All right.
To work in development and turn this thing around.
Well, we shall see if that is a possibility or not.
I see what you're doing. I think they need him.
They need somebody.
Yep. You can
somebody
have a
manning the
lot of
ship.
money and go, let's make TV shows.
Right.
And that's called YouTube.
Yeah, right?
And a lot of videos on YouTube are not good.
No.
But instead, these are $300 million YouTube videos.
Right.
Starring Steve Carell and Jason Momoa for some reason. So,
Right.
Yeah. I was blown away to learn well, maybe not blown away. That I guess I didn't know that Stephen Knight, the guy behind Peaky Blinders and
Taboo.
Taboo, was developed C.
Yeah, it's a weird fit. It doesn't seem to really fit the way that he approaches things, you know.
Well, he's got like, I guess, is the protagonist Momoa then, I guess? He does like guys
so.
with weird facial hair and who are badasses, but
Well, yeah, that's true.
yeah. I don't love everything he does, but see?
I have a feeling that Jason Momoa doesn't wear a hat with like blades in it, you know, razor blades in it, but
He should. What if you were, but he would have a knight, or a knight, that's his name. He would have a hat with hatchets in it.
There you
Not
go.
quite as inconspicuous.
No, a little heavier too.
Thanks for coming to the gang meeting. Now, wait, you guys aren't armed, are you? No. Clunk, clunk, clunk. Seems like you're armed.
Well, I just have a few weapons on me,
This is
nothing big.
Yeah, it's a European style. Everybody's doing it. Going back to Disney Plus for a second, Marvel has moved the premiere date for WandaVision, the new show.
I heard about that.
Starring Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany, to this year instead of 2021 when it was supposed to come out.
Right. So, I guess that's good news.
Sure.
They must be.
Is this a Wonder Woman situation?
What do you think?
I mean, you know, the movie's done 6 months beforehand, but you can't. You got to own that June slot or whatever. So you're just like, everybody chill out and go home. And then
Maybe.
keep making trailers or something. But in the case of the TV show, they're like, we can just put this out whenever. It doesn't really matter.
I think that maybe
And
that's
they're done.
kind of like
No
what it is.
complications.
Right.
I found out the other day, I don't know the exact dates, but they did reshoots on Rise of Skywalker
Sure.
like in the summer of last year, like very, very, late
early.
in the game.
Oh, okay.
Which shouldn't really surprise anybody for a movie which just has very little cohesion to it. And it's fun and I love it. But yeah, I guess they're all done.
Okay.
You know what I think it is? Because generally this doesn't happen. I still don't really know what the deal is with the Wonder Woman one, other than just it just went really well.
Right.
I think they probably scaled it back. Don't you think? Because they don't know how many.
Maybe
they don't know how many episodes it's going to be right now, which I think is a little weird. If it's
that is strange.
yeah, and they think it's going to be around 6 hours. So I think that they probably were planning it out and like in pre-production, and they went, "This is a lot. What if this does? Should we just save all this for the if we get a second season?"
Yeah, right.
And so instead, it's only going to be 6, and they can get that done.
Yeah, that could be. I do remember hearing that Scarlet Witch is going to be in Doctor Strange too. So I mean, I think as long as that story coincides with that film and it doesn't like, you know, hurt the timeline for that, which I mean really could go all over because it's Doctor Strange.
It's a dimension of death.
Right. But I think as long as that doesn't affect that, then you're just like you said, maybe they were like, well, we can get this done, so why not put it out there early? Because then we have more of our content out there sooner. So, and I mean, they're gonna just keep making more content, right? So the sooner you can get it out, probably the better.
Isn't that it? Isn't it Doctor Strange in the dimension of death, or is it something else?
I honestly can't remember what the subtitle is. I believe you.
The death dimension is something in Doctor Strange, although I think the dark dimension is something that's more generally well known.
Okay.
The multiverse of madness. Sorry, if it's a multiverse of madness, then we got no idea when this is coming out.
Yeah,
and
that's
you're just seeing
true.
the effects of that. Dimension of death could have worked too.
Yes, another alliteration.
We'll keep that one for we'll
Maybe
Cargill.
Doctor Strange
Listen,
3.
make that the third one.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's promising.
Mm-hmm.
Although we are still in limbo as to whether any of this is going to work.
That's true.
Jacked Kumail or not.
Right.
Marvel's destiny is kind of up in the air, I think.
Yeah, a little bit. It's. I think Black Widow is gonna land pretty well. I think that's gonna be great. I think you're right though about Eternals, where it could go kind of either way.
Yeah.
It's a gamble.
Well, Disney's got a lot to balance here.
Yeah.
Did you know, speaking of things in the future, that The Mandalorian Season 2, it's rumored, will deal with the origins of where Palpatine, how he cloned himself.
Oh, really? Okay. I wasn't asking for that.
We just finished, because we took a break and waited on it, but we just finished Mandalorian Season 1.
Yes.
And in that Rise of Skywalker way, they stuck the landing so hard that I didn't remember all the times that I was bored in the preceding 6 or 7 hours.
Yeah.
Or all the things that were like, oh my God, are you
Why
serious?
Did they do that?
Yeah. Yeah, they stuck the landing, which makes me think, wow, what a good movie this would have been. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This could have easily been a movie.
Yeah, I'd seen, you know,
2.5 hours out.
Yeah, I've seen
Done.
posts on social media being like, it's too bad they didn't give
It's
a
the
film
real-
to Jon Favreau.
Yeah, and you've got, I think we were talking about this the other night, you've got the prequels represent story elements and plot details that really kind of were in place. A lot of it gets remixed into other stuff, but he kind of knew what happened. Anakin Skywalker goes nuts.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan takes him out. I don't think she was named Padme, but Anakin's wife dies, gives birth to Luke and Leia or whatever. We all knew that. So now we'll just take that and we'll plug it into a deeply stupid and flawed trilogy that if you really like, great. And if you don't, like most fans, we just kind of ignore the specifics, the 50s diner or whatever, and go, well, yeah, that stuff happened. Now we've got a new trilogy that's like, what's the future of the Star Wars Skywalkers in the universe? We know because there are a million books and comics, but screw all that. Here's a lame trilogy that's going to ruin the future.
I know.
So now if we treat those like the prequels and also kind of ignore them, but I guess just take the plot points, The Mandalorian, set after Return of the Jedi, represents like the perfect, this is it. We can grab onto this. This is how Star Wars will go forward now after this.
Right.
And
so then why are they...
Palpy making a Snoke.
Yeah, I'm not excited about that, honestly.
Not really.
I'm more excited to see, how they continue to develop Baby Yoda and his character.
If they develop him.
They should.
He is not, look, I like him, but he is no more than a gimmick right now.
I know, he's just the cutest thing ever, but he's not much more than that.
I want to see more. I hope they don't write Action Jackson and Cara Dune out of this one.
Yeah, I know.
It seemed like they were going off into the sunset. He's not coming back to this planet.
I wouldn't be surprised if he does come back at some point.
Well, I hope she comes. She's great. Why is she
Gina
should be in more
Carano?
stuff.
Yeah, I know. She is good. I really, really like her. And I saw somebody post on social media recently, like, saying that she should play She-Hulk in the new She-Hulk TV show.
How tall is she? I guess it doesn't really
She's
matter.
not, like, super tall, but she's, like, buff. So, if height is an issue, maybe not. But I think that she would be a pretty good pick for that.
Well, pound for pound, no specific pun intended. I can't really think of, unless we don't want to go with the Ronda Rousey route on this.
Probably not.
I'm sure there's a bunch of WWE divas who, I don't know if they call them that anymore. Let's just say female wrestlers.
Yeah.
Who probably could fit the bill. But I can't think of a lot of super buff female actresses. But if you can make a male buff, we can make
It's true.
Kirsten Stewart buff. Or
yeah, right.
Just give her a lot of beans. How do you get? She's vegan, right? So what's the plant protein? Because remember,
of beans
whey
and tofu.
Whey protein is. Do we want to take these cows as milk?
Right.
Do we want to use the cut up stomach lining from slaughtered cows to cure the milk?
Probably not.
She can play Jennifer Walters.
There you go.
Let's talk about what film critics are saying about 2019. The National Society of Film Critics has named Parasite as their best picture.
Oh, boy. Here we go. Here we go.
Here we go. Here we go. Why are the lights flashing in here?
Yeah. I just don't agree with that. I don't.
Do you want to hear some of the other things while you get your thoughts
okay,
together?
but it's not. I don't think it's best of material, in my opinion.
I'll skip individual names, but definitely look them up. Actually, no, there's only one name you would know, and that's Claire Mathen. She was the director of photography for Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
Okay.
And she received the nod there. Laura Dern was lauded for her role in Marriage Story, which you don't hear a lot of.
I didn't even know she was in that.
Yeah, but you don't hear about her all that much. And Mary Kay Place, who I haven't heard that name in a while, for the movie Diane. Antonio Banderas got Best Actor for his work in Pain and Glory.
I've heard that that's good.
Yes, I saw that in a top 10
Yeah.
films of blah
Right,
blah.
exactly.
Along with I'm Just a Hand, which is on
Lost My
Netflix.
Body or
You want to see
whatever
that?
it is, yeah.
And Brad Pitt got Best Supporting Actor for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Okay.
Wow. Okay. I don't think that it just, in my opinion, that is not one of Tarantino's strongest films. I didn't really like it that much. I didn't hate it. I just didn't like it, you know?
I bet you don't like that Parasite got Best Screenplay.
No, I don't. Oh man. Yeah, maybe I need somebody to explain to me why they think it's so great, to really understand people's opinions about
I think
it.
you know what you're going to hear.
Yeah, I guess.
But, I mean, it's not a bad movie at all.
It's not
It's
bad.
just not-
It's just
My pants are full of shit. I have shit in my pants.
Well,
This is so good.
I feel like, you know, we were watching it and you called it. You were like, this is
Whoa.
very predictable.
Well,
And I think
when you have
that
3 hours to decide how something is going to kind of wrap up, I think everybody can probably do
yeah,
that.
I
It's
think
very long.
I think that as you're watching it, I mean, there are parts of it that are, you know, there are twists, but there are parts where you're like, well, I see where we're going here. This is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and this is going to happen. And then if you find yourself doing that during a movie, it just takes me out of it, because then it's like, well, I'm not really in the world of the movie anymore, because now I'm like an outside observer.
What if they, and this wouldn't work at all, but it doesn't work in a lot of the films that it's done for, what if they had chopped it up?
Oh, like done it out of order or something like that?
I don't even know how that would work.
That might have made it more interesting to me.
I'm thinking, because I enjoy a lot of Korean cinema. I really like, I really don't like a lot of Bong Joon-ho's films.
Right.
Bong Joon-ho's films. But like something like The Handmaiden, for instance.
Yeah.
That tells the story from 3 different perspectives.
Yes.
And every time we move to another perspective, it adds depth to
what we've
things
already
that we
seen.
already knew.
Yeah, true.
And whenever I see things like that, I always think, you could just cleverly write all that chronologically.
Well, that is another option.
We could slowly peel away the layers and learn that one character is acting for this reason, instead of like
Right.
literally repeating scenes. But it's still a really good film, and yeah, I don't know. I just feel like a lot of the conversations in Parasite don't add anything to what they're trying to say. And at the end of the day, I don't know what they're trying to say. I don't know what Bong Joon-ho even wants to say. He's addressing,
I know,
culturally, something that's going on in Korea. They have their own sort of divide between the haves and have-nots.
sure.
But if it's no more than that,
Yeah, I kept thinking, like, at the beginning of the movie, I kept thinking
It was
there's
news.
going to be, like,
It was the news.
a paranormal, like, aspect to this.
You thought the parasite was going to come
Yeah,
up
like-
from the drains, and
Well, I thought, like, you know, that at the very beginning, they have, like, this basement
To be
apartment.
fair-
And they're like, oh, keep the window open so we can get fumigated, because then it'll kill the bugs that are in here. I thought maybe
which
they were
is
going to
like,
get sick from
I thought
that.
my
and-
dad was cheap, but yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's right, but it just got sewage in their house,
I know.
which you couldn't live in there anymore, right? At the end of the
I
movie,
was
they're all
surprised to see-
back in
yeah.
their apartment. Spoiler
Yeah.
alert, I guess, and you couldn't live there anymore.
I was really surprised to see that. Yeah, that's how
But it's
I
over the
felt too.
top.
Yeah, I know.
It's a Korean movie, and I don't think it wields its over the topness in a great way. we don't need to do this again. We already did this.
This is true.
And it doesn't matter what they think, because here is the most important critic of all, Barack Obama.
Oh, boy.
He has released his list of his favorite movies and TV shows from 2019.
Okay.
Want to hear it?
Sure.
I don't want to. Should I read the whole thing, or let's
It's
do
up to you.
some standouts here.
Okay.
His favorite movies. He liked Booksmart.
Okay.
He liked The Farewell.
Okay.
He liked The Irishman.
Mm-hmm.
He also liked Marriage Story
Okay.
and Parasite.
Okay. There you go.
And he liked Little Women.
All right.
And then he said a quick list of TV shows that he considered as powerful as movies: Fleabag Season 2,
Okay.
Unbelievable, and Watchmen.
All right. Of those, I've only seen Fleabag season 2, and I really liked that. So, interesting. Yeah, I noticed that he was putting like lists out of his best of for the year and everything. That's kind of cool.
Somebody pointed out on Twitter, they're trying to be diplomatic, but doesn't the Fleabag pilot have a scene where she masturbates to an Obama speech? And it absolutely does.
Oh, I see. So it's a weird choice for him to choose that because of that scene. All right. Well,
Allow me to sound like a jerk.
okay.
The new title of this podcast. What do we care what he thinks about anything? Why do we care?
We don't necessarily.
Hey,
but
shut up. What do we care? Why are we listening to you? Also, what are you going to say bad things about Netflix shows? You have a huge deal with them.
I know.
So anything that's
I
on
know.
Netflix, if we just cross out what's left, and are these good picks, and why do we care? I'm not even going through his. He had a music list too.
I know
we
he
won't even
did.
go through that.
I know Lizzo's Juice was on there. But that's all I'm going to say about that. I think we care because it's like I think we care about like what some former presidents think and everything.
Yeah, would you want to hear George W. Bush's list?
Probably not.
I would.
Just to
I'd be fascinated.
see like what he thinks
Yeah.
is great. Yeah. Okay. I guess.
Maybe that's what it is then.
Yeah.
It's just like forgetting the fact that he was president, and it's pretty easy to because a lot got done.
Yeah.
He's just he's just like this older dude. Like if you knew like an older gentleman who was very wealthy and kind of cool, and you were like,
Yeah.
oh, what is he like?
Right.
What do you think he likes?
Well,
At the soirees and the cocktail parties
Mm-hmm.
that they're at, eating canapes, what do you think they're talking about?
I know. Well, it kind of
Oh,
reminds me.
Parasite was so powerful. I felt like it really is. What do you think it is?
It kind of reminds me of like Oprah has her favorite things every year, even though like she doesn't have a talk show anymore.
And-
people still flock to that and
Yeah.
like
But
crave everything that she says was awesome.
But yeah, and that was heavily established though in her talk show and her
True.
presence online.
Yeah.
And also we established that she didn't really know or vet these books very well, or at least at the beginning.
No.
So yeah, I mean that doesn't. Is he trying to be a brand like Oprah?
I think maybe, but I like I said,
And
I
why
think,
isn't Avengers Endgame on here?
Come on, Mr. President.
I agree with Marty Scorsese. The Marvel films are not films.
I think, like I said, I do think that people care about what former presidents said. So, like you said, it's like you just know this cool, wealthy old guy.
I voted for him. I don't care what he
thinks.
likes, what kind of media he
Yeah.
likes.
Okay.
If he wants to get a podcast going, come into this ring
Uh-oh.
and start talking about different kinds of entertainment,
Uh-huh.
movies and TV shows.
Yeah.
Then we'll see. Then I'll have to size him up
Right.
as a potential competitor,
Sure.
or at least as a podcast colleague.
Yeah. There you
And
go.
I'll be like, all right, Obama, give me what you got. I'll be like, I will destroy you. We'll take you down. We got him.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, we'll see.
Hi, I'm Mikan Hana,
And I'm Caliban.
and we're the hosts of the Sailor Noob podcast. I'm the expert.
And I'm the noob.
You're talking into the wrong end of the microphone.
Aye, aye.
Okay, every week we watch a new episode of Sailor Moon and learn about monsters, fashion, food, culture, and of course, the Sailor Warrior of Love and Justice, Sailor Moon.
All right, now, what is her rank? Is she an admiral or a rear admiral?
Okay, shh. The ad's almost over. We're a couple of magical people, and every week we Moon Prism Power make up a new episode.
Steady as she goes.
Please stop that. Sailor Noob is available every Friday on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Shiver me timbers. Remember that? Remember when James Bond was with the Queen? Remember that? And he's like,
maybe I don't remember that specifically. But...
What do we need to do, Mum? And she's like, we have to have a great Olympics this year. Remember when the Olympics were in London and they did that video? And like Daniel Craig is like hanging out with
Queen Elizabeth?
And I think Prince Andrew, which is not a good look. But
at least
I could
not
be
anymore.
wrong. There was one guy in one of those. It's got the red part and the black lapels, and then it's got the thing in the middle of the tie pin. They look like Dracula.
Yeah.
I think it was one of the princes.
Okay.
Anyway, it's insane that something like that, even in this age of I'm cool, I'm in charge of everybody in the free world, here are my list of favorite TV shows and movies.
Yeah,
like,
why would she agree to do that?
Because why wouldn't she agree to do that?
Yes.
But why would anybody think that's a good idea?
Right.
A fictional secret agent
Yeah.
who is specifically known to be his entire persona, and they've tried to change this because he's got a girlfriend now or whatever, but
Right.
basically like he's killed more people with VD than he has with his PPK, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
at this point, like it's just he's based on dissolution, like a knife. He cuts through life like every day's the last. Mm-hmm. He kiss bang bang. He's
Right.
Mr. Kiss bang bang.
Yeah.
Mom, with the tiny little queen.
I know.
Let's get this Olympics started.
Right.
With a kiss bang bang.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's
But
weird.
he's such an institution at this point. He is a
True.
British national hero. And I wouldn't be surprised if once, Sam Mendes gives up the ghost, and it's coming soon. I haven't heard any talk about they won't do it until, after it's time to die. Wake up, time to die, or whatever it's called, comes out. But, we need a new Bond. We need a new
Director?
person to run the series. Yeah, a new writer.
Sure.
I wouldn't be surprised if Stephen Moffat tried to throw his hat in the ring.
Because
He seems at this point bound and determined to write and create for every British cultural hero that they have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Kind of seems that way.
Yeah. Like, when's he going to do like a Nelson miniseries? Now that he's doing Dracula, because, hey, everybody, Dracula hasn't been done good enough yet.
Apparently, according to him and Mark Gatiss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I saw a review that was like, Dracula is twice as horny as it should be and half as good as it ought to be, or something like that. It's like, great. Oh,
Okay.
great.
I do kind of want to watch it just because, but...
Well, you let me know how it is.
Oh, all right.
A lot of that going on in our
Okay.
partnership here
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah, I know.
Enjoy Killing Eve, which, Killing Eve. We're talking
So
about spy
spy
stuff.
stuff.
Let's just do it right now.
Yeah.
Talking about Killing Eve. I hate Killing Eve.
I know
I
you
hate
do.
it. I loved the first half of the first season.
Yep.
And then when the second season and the first episode of the second season, or the second half of the first season, first episode of the second season, which I never got past, was all the same thing over and over again. Villanelle or L or whatever they call her for short is
Right.
like, she's trying to figure this out. She's going to murder at least 3 innocent people every episode.
I know.
And then Chicago Hope, no. Grey's Anatomy lady is going to be
Sandra
like,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what's going on here. I
Yeah.
don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And then we're just killing off the entire supporting cast. And now season 2 starts and there is no supporting cast because you killed them all.
Right.
And she's still just killing people. And there's just no growth. I'm not interested. It's the same thing over and over again. They do that thing. You know how smart that Fleabag lady is?
Yeah.
She wrote a scene into the first episode of her show where she jerks off to an Obama speech.
Yeah.
She kills somebody by doing the thing where you just, and you grab their head and
Hold
you
their
just
head
turn
and
to
you
the
just
side.
turn it.
And people don't die like that.
Yeah.
You do that just to shock people. It's a dumb way to shock people. It's dumb. We don't care. We know that she's a murderer. Do something else, show. Come on.
I was shocked, but in a way, I was pissed off.
Right.
I did not like that choice.
It was just trying to provoke you. It
made me mad.
Right, but yeah, but it was done in such a manipulative way.
I agree. Just to elicit a response and like remind us that she's a bad guy. And
how many people
she
is
kills
Scarlett
people.
Johansson gonna kill in the Black Widow movie?
Hopefully
by
none.
Going, oh, you got something on your chin there. Oh, one-handed neck break.
Right.
Spines are made of Smarties, so it all works out.
Yeah.
Look at that little
shatter
just
it.
twist.
Yeah.
They all fall out.
Gross.
In Candyland, the animals' bones are made of
That's
Smarties.
Wow.
Spy fiction has been around for a while.
Yeah, absolutely.
And guess what? I didn't look up when it first came out, but I know that probably the first time that it became popularized or became, espionage has always been part of politics and world government. But the first time that it became sort of popularized, I think, was in the era of what they call the Great Game, which was like the European powers of the late 19th century, the early 20th century, like pre-World War One, all trying to mess with each other. So you've got, France and England, and you've got Russia, which is not yet communist Russia,
right?
And you've got Prussia, and you've got all these things that they've got, nothing better to do. Industrialization set in. Economies are getting better, and they've got really nothing to do than just sort of mess with each other.
Yeah.
And it's sort of this, trains and telegraphs, and secrets and hats and things like that. It's just like this idea. Now, that didn't really, if we never went any farther than that, I think, and there are some great like books and stories, not really a lot of movies though, set in that era. But of course, that all gave way to World War II, which became the setting that Call of Duty would never leave. Another 100 years from now, we're still going to be talking about effing World War II.
Right.
But that was, a world war with new technology and shifting alliances and weird, treaties and agreements and people
double agents
doing things. And Mata Hari's got codes inside of her bustier, and she's dancing. That was World War One, of course. But and again, telegraphs and carrier pigeons and rolled dolls trying to figure out all kinds of crazy stuff. And,
right.
Yeah, it's just like there's a lot of fodder there. That's where James Bond came from.
Right.
Even though his stories are set initially in the 50s, after that, Ian Fleming based it supposedly on his real life experiences.
Sure.
Now, he didn't, ride a space shuttle to a moon base with lasers.
No.
But just his experiences, the experiences of, like I said before, like, Roald Dahl and all these, British intellectuals who are, getting into these cloak and dagger kind of schemes. And it's fascinating. And I should say right now, when we talk about spy fiction, we're focusing on Western spy fiction.
True.
We're not focusing on like the court intrigues of
that's fair point.
of Osaka, palace or whatever, and like ninjas. Although that'd be cool.
Yeah.
We could do that.
Yeah.
I kind of want to do that.
Maybe another time.
But we're doing this instead.
Yeah.
And like when you think of a spy movie, what immediately comes to mind?
Wow.
I think of rope.
Rope?
Just like a lot of rope. Somebody's got it like over their shoulder. And they're wearing like a balaclava, they call it in England, or like a ski mask here.
Sure. I guess I think a lot about Mission Impossible or other like spy shows, like this message is about to self-destruct, you get the message, you get the information, and then it destructs itself, like, because we don't want that information falling into the wrong hands.
How lazy is Jim Phelps? Real
With
easy
the
for him to just
explosion?
take it out of the thing and just, that we all smoke, cigarette lighter, burn the tape, done.
Right. It
But apparently,
explodes in the
one
tape player.
time he's like, okay, got it. And then walks away from the tape recorder and then chaos or schmersh or something finds the
Right.
tape. It's like, God, all right. We got to build a bomb in everything that we send to Jim Phelps from now on. When he hits the sports section of his newspaper, it bursts into flames.
Right.
Takeout menus. It's horrible.
Very flammable person. So.
Yeah, that's was it Bruce Geller that invented Mission Impossible? That was sort of his. I don't really know a lot about him as much as I know about Gene Roddenberry. I know that Gene Roddenberry loved military fiction,
Okay.
like Horatio Hornblower novels and
Sure.
things like that, and also like Gulliver's Travels and literature like that. And so that's what he was thinking of when he created Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of, you know, something that's military fiction set in a world of a service, but
Yeah.
then also he wanted to include his humanistic ideals in it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Geller is just like, what if a guy could rip his? What if Martin Landau rips his face off and he's somebody else?
Right. I just wanted to shock you, you know.
Yeah,
with,
but it
like-
works.
Yeah, it does. it's exciting.
And also Leonard Nimoy on both.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's, you know, I think that's a great pick, you know, other than James Bond, which began in the early 60s.
Mm-hmm.
Having Mission Impossible is another great example of two things that really set what you think of as the tropes
Yes.
or the things that you'd expect from a spy thing.
Yes.
Gadgets.
Exactly.
You know, Bond in the books had gadgets, but it wasn't anything that was necessarily, maybe later on, that was what you could identify as a gadget.
Mm-hmm,
It wasn't like a laser watch,
right.
you know,
Right.
or a grappling hook watch. When did Omega get involved again with the James Bonds?
I don't know.
When did Mr. Omega call up Cubby Broccoli and it's
Yeah,
like, got an
right.
idea.
Well,
What if his watch dispenses contraceptives? Well, he doesn't use any. A laser then. I think we're in business.
I was looking at like spy gadgets from films and stuff like that, and it's been a while since I've seen the Spy Kid movies, which actually I think they're actually
Detour.
fairly entertaining.
Yeah, they are. They
At
are.
least, you know, the first. I think I may have seen the second one, but their watches were really cool and like interactive and that. So
Anachronistic.
right,
Kids don't have watches.
not anymore.
Not anymore. It's
No.
all on your phone.
Yeah, exactly.
Or your sonic screwdriver. We'll get there.
yeah.
Yeah, so you have those kind of gadgets in a Final Fantasy? What?
How did we
In
get
a
there?
Mission Impossible Fantasy Final.
Yeah.
Or a James Bond situation. You know, you had Wild Wild West came out in the mid-'60s, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But that itself was just a chance to, like, we got all these cowboy shows are all, you know, all the rage. Like, we usually were just putting beeping flashing lights on them, and now they're like an alien planet on Star Trek. But what if we just use the cowboy sets, but this guy's like a secret agent circa Civil War, and so he's got like crazy gadgets.
Sure.
And he's, you know, facing down, you know, despotic mad scientists.
Mm-hmm.
And they got cowboy hats on. What about that?
Right, right.
It's like, see you tomorrow night.
Right.
It's Thursday night.
Something classic with a futuristic twist.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it works.
Yeah.
We've talked about a lot of things like that on this show. But like the original Bond books, like From Russia with Love, one of my favorite, I think my favorite James Bond film.
Mm-hmm.
2 in and they nailed it.
Yeah.
The big gadget is a canister of deodorant that's actually knockout gas.
Sure.
And if you don't open your briefcase the right way, it blows up and knocks you out.
Awesome.
The whole thing is, in the beginning of the movie, they give him a briefcase, and they're like, here's a briefcase. A knife comes out of here in case you have to stab
Right.
somebody. Out of this side, we got a roll of Cougar ants in here. How heavy is this briefcase?
Uh-huh.
And then here's some deodorant, but don't use it on your arms. 'cause
Right.
It magnetically locks here, and if you open the case with the wrong, if it's not 007, if it's 006 or whatever, then it's not you, clearly, and it blows up. So I need to be the TSA guy who tries to open that up.
Yeah.
And that's it. That was, people were like, whoa, what
Yeah.
a cool gadget. Oh, and I forgot. It also has a collapsible rifle in it, like a little sniper rifle.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
And I
too.
think it's got like grenades, like flat grenades.
Wow, there's a lot in that suitcase.
And that was the whole thing. Not a giant parachute, like a giant basketball.
Right.
Wait, that was Double Team. Not not an invisible car.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't have to be sort of like that.
No, it doesn't.
But that's part of, you know, I think the stereotype is like dudes like gadgets.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, everybody likes gadgets, right?
Who doesn't like gadgets?
Yeah, and so I think that's a big part of the appeal of spy movies. When you watch a spy movie, do you track what's going on? Around the fifth double cross and someone's like, the treaty with the thing, and then like, it's about the oil. Thanks. Thanks, Sundance.
For the most part,
You think so?
I do. Yeah. Maybe there might be some times where I get confused. Like if it's more than a double cross, if it's like a triple or quadruple cross, then maybe I might be a little confused. Because honestly, who wouldn't be at that point? There's so many. Like, how do you even know what team you're on? You know?
Yeah, but I mean, something like remember Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy?
Yes.
Which is, I'm not sure what you would call James Bond, because James Bond, the books and the films, have a very, they've become very sort of action movie-esque.
Yeah.
And so when Bond chases a airplane that's falling off of a runway in the mountains in Russia,
Yeah.
and then he skydives down to the airplane, then gets into it, and then
Right.
like pulls it up and flies away from the base before it blows up.
Yeah.
That's just some Will Smith shit, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
yeah. But something like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy by the writer Jean Le Carré, who is probably should be announced in the same breath as someone like Ian Fleming in terms of writing spy books.
Yeah.
Those are always about the double crosses, about double agents, about
Right.
the danger of being a spy, and also the very stiff upper lip British. I like tea. Like, why am I doing this?
Right.
I gotta pretend that I don't like tea. Oh my god! Oh, how horrible!
Right.
And killing an owl with a rolled up newspaper. It's a weird scene, but yeah, that to me that is as exciting as any other thing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But if you can combine them in a movie like Ronin. I'll take that too.
Yeah.
Like by the time
Ronin's a
Ronin's
good
over,
film.
and Ronin even pokes fun at this, because by the time it's over, did you know who Victor was working for, or who the skating guy, or what was going on in the deal?
Not really.
Who sent Natasha McElhenney or whatever?
Right.
Who was she really working for in the end?
It's unclear, I think.
Yeah.
And like,
And they're like, their whole MacGuffin. They're like, what? Well, what's inside the MacGuffin? It's like, it's just a MacGuffin.
they never deal with it.
Right.
It's a little frustrating as
Yeah,
a
but
viewer.
it doesn't matter. It's not a tuxedo
I know.
that Jackie Chan's going to put on.
I know. So yeah, but that is a good film, and that's definitely about spy stuff. And then they like, what was it like? Sean Bean was like, it was like, you're not a spy. Get out of here. You know, like how did he even like? How did he even like show up?
You get out of here.
Yeah. How did he even like show up and like know to, you know, and then he puts everybody in danger because he freaks out.
Well, what I like about Ronin, and we've talked about Ronin, and we don't want to waste all our time talking about Ronin, but is that it's set not within that the circus, you know, from Le Carré's stuff. You know, it's not set within the community. It's set outside of it. It takes the end of the Cold War and the fall of the Soviet regime to set this backdrop where a lot of people have lost their jobs. You know, Jean Reno probably worked for, I can't now remember what the French sort of intelligence service is named.
Sure.
Probably worked, you know, in the Eastern Bloc, and then it was like, well, we don't need you anymore. So
Right.
And presumably Robert De Niro the same. And then, but you have to have people who, like Sean Bean, who just, you know, they're adrenaline junkies. Like they want this life. They're posers. And I like the fact that before, because you could make the first act of the movie real boring in that they're just collecting their guns and stuff. They're getting all this stuff, but they smartly find a conflict in the first act, which is Robert De Niro's character using his spy training on his own team, like using it on this guy. And it seems like they hate this guy, but he's really saving this guy's life. Like, Sean Bean would have caught a bullet because he has no idea what he's doing. So he's partially like, you know, get out of here. You don't know what you're doing. You know, you suck. But it's also like, you're going to thank me. I can't break character here, but you're going to get us killed. You're going to get yourself killed.
Yeah.
Go home, get a job. Stop with this.
Yeah.
And I like that. Like, what other movie would have that?
Yeah, no, it's true.
Imagine in the first hour of Bad Boys, Will Smith, you know, takes one of the bad boy cops aside. And he's like, "You got to get out of this, dude. Like, it's not, you're not cut out for this."
Right.
That wouldn't happen.
No, I don't think so.
There's a lot of pre or early, like pre James Bond films or films that came out before pretty much every spy movie became a James Bond film. Films like The Ipcrest File or The Manchurian Candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen The Manchurian Candidate?
I don't think I have. I think I might have seen like a part of the newer version.
Why don't you play some solitaire
But-
and figure it out? Part of the new version?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
With Denzel Washington.
Yeah. I
He's
think I
got
saw
tape
part of
on his
it.
glasses because
Yeah.
he's crazy.
Yeah. Cool.
The conversation, we have to say something nice about Coppola. I don't think I'm ready for this yet.
Uh-oh.
But The Conversation is another great film that is about the tension that a spy movie should have.
Sure.
Because I think what makes spy movies and great is unknowing, is not knowing, is the
Yeah.
tension in not knowing something.
Mm-hmm.
When you're riding in an elevator with Max von Sydow
Yeah.
and he's looks weird, is this, if I have a 45 in my pocket right now, if I
Yeah.
shoot a man to death in the lobby of this building, have I committed murder or have I saved my life?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What is the right answer? What do I do? And The Conversation is great for that, all of that, because it stars Gene Hackman as Harry Call, I think his name is, and basically he's like, I don't think you ever find out, like, I think he's a freelancer. I don't think he works for the CIA or anybody like that, but he's basically like a surveillance expert.
Sure.
And so he's good at like recording video and audio, and like people go to him to like, we needed a bug like this and that. And he accidentally records the titular conversation, which turns out to be something that kind of like in 3 Days of the Condor, which we saw the other day,
Yeah.
is like everybody who's heard this has to die. And so we've got to just, wipe the slate clean here.
Mm-hmm.
And as it goes on, there's this more and more paranoia because he's a guy who's kind of reclusive and he didn't ever want to be out there doing dead drops and brush pass and stuff like that. Like he
Sure.
just wants to do his little sound things.
Right.
And he's increasingly like people start to get into his life and it sort of like drives him nuts. And it's a pretty good film. And like a lot of spy movies that are called good spy movies, it ends with uncertainty,
Sure.
like 3 Days of the Condor.
Yeah, which I don't think holds up very well with modern eyes.
Before we shit on the Condor from a great height,
Mm-hmm.
what is it? Just I think we've talked before on the show about the era of the heyday of conspiracy fiction, haven't we? We talk about. I know that
remember.
I thought we talked about All the President's Men, but I guess not. But of course, Condor comes out 75.
Yeah.
President's Men 76.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Faye Dunaway, the year before Chinatown comes out.
Yeah.
What is it with like Robert Redford and spy movies? Right?
Maybe he just has a look where he could be a double agent or something like that.
But
I
the
don't
thing
know.
is that he starts off as, he's riding a bike and he's like hippie and he's like,
I
you don't
know.
take this seriously. Sure, I work for the CIA. And then like, all my friends get killed. Oh no. And then he's the guy who's gonna like, I'm gonna tell everybody the truth, and you're gonna know what the truth is.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be in Telluride in Colorado or whatever.
Right.
And then later on, though, they cast him as the guy who is the jaded spy guy, like in Spy Game when he's like training Brad Pitt to be a spy. Like he's the
Sure.
guy who's like, not all the answers are true, and it's not all about the red, white, and blue. And yeah, I'm a poet now.
Well,
And then in like Winter Soldier,
that's exactly what I was
he's
thinking.
cast as like the ultimate like, can we trust this guy?
yeah. And
spoiler,
turns out
you
you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think maybe he's had a career of playing spies. And...
And it's strange because he's done a lot of other things. but
Oh
he's
yeah,
just-
for sure.
when you
Butch
think
Cassidy, the
of-
Sundance Kid.
Yeah,
for
right.
example.
Which is like the opposite of a spy movie.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
but when you think about a spy movie actor, if you're not talking about a James Bond, you're pretty much thinking about somebody like him.
Yeah, true.
Or Gene Hackman,
Yes.
who reprised technically his role of Harry Call in the movie Enemy of the State.
Okay.
We were talking about Will Smith before.
Yeah.
Will Smith is in a completely forgettable techno thriller. It's one of those movies where computers, man. How do they work?
Right.
And then the evil team of spies are all like teenagers. You know, it's like Seth Green's typing on this computer.
Oh, boy.
Because kids, right?
Yeah.
What are they? He's drinking a big gulp. And
These
he's,
hackers,
yeah,
so bad,
and
man.
757s are dropping out of the sky.
Yeah.
It's that kind of movie, and Will Smith is like, I don't know what's going on. And then he meets an old guy who's like, we're going to get you out of this, but I don't want to be connected to this. And it's supposed to be like, you could think of it as being the character from the conversation.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
Is it?
Maybe.
Don't lie to me. But then comes Skyfall from 2012.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Why is Skyfall not a spy movie? Discuss.
Why is it not a spy movie? I mean, it is.
What about
but
it
it's like,
is a spy movie?
I
There
don't.
is a
I don't know.
plot element stolen from the first Mission Impossible movie where Coconut Rat Man gets his hands on a list of spies. Apparently, MI6, he's mad because MI6 recruited him. They have child spies or something like that, and they recruit them from.
I don't
and then it
remember.
becomes Home Alone.
Yeah.
It's a one part The Dark Knight, and then the end, the last act is Home Alone.
Mm-hmm.
Spies
Yeah, and M dies, so that's depressing.
dies.
And yeah, the bad guy is like, I don't know what they were doing when they wrote that character. I mean, I just think he's like a weird caricature and like not a real person. And it's not like spy movie bad guys have a history of being like really realistic, because they don't. But
No, I would say that they don't.
but I don't know. He just kind of maybe I just feel like with the modern Bond films, we should be better than this at this point.
But it's so beautiful. Look at those colors.
Yeah. All right. And Adele's song, so good. Yeah. I just, oh man, I did not enjoy that film. Felt like it was kind of tired, and yeah. Is that the one where like, I can't remember which one it was, where like he like where the bad guy like shoots one of the girls that Bond has slept with.
Yep. I mean, there's many Bond films.
I know.
that are like that.
Yeah.
But
I thought we were getting away from that, and then it was like, no, we're coming back. And it's like,
Yep. Awesome.
it's like, wait a minute.
But how do we put a twist on it? Oh, she was a child prostitute who now has sex by surprise with James Bond, and then gets shot in the face for her trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine, because
This
she
is
was...
the best Bond movie that's come out in a long time.
I know.
Yeah, I never really got it either. But then again, you know, there's oil is the bad guy in Quantum of Solace. So what are you gonna do?
I know, but I do think that that's a better film overall.
So trope wise, what do we got? We got gadgets.
Yep.
We've got unadvisable sexual contact. No,
Yeah.
no. We've got people, you know, double crosses, people
Yes.
being not who they seem to be.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got you know, a sense of tension and a
Yes.
sense of a mystery needing to be revealed.
Yes.
And except for the sex thing, we've got all that in Spyfall, the first episode of the latest season of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Why did it take us so long to
do a spy
talk
thing?
about this?
Oh, to talk about Doctor Who? Well, I think we got behind in watching season 11, which is the first season of the 13th Doctor, who, let me say, I was really excited about having a female doctor, but I feel like the writing has gotten worse, and I don't know
So in answer to my question,
why that is.
you eventually got there.
Yeah.
We stopped watching
Yes.
because it was bad and we didn't like it.
Yes.
I
And
don't-
I wanted to like it.
I want to like everything, but
Yeah.
I don't understand what anything is or why it is.
In Doctor Who?
Here's two things. I think it comes down to two things. One, Chris Chibnall he is a mediocre TV writer at best. He is not capable of directing
Steering this
a
mammoth.
huge fan favorite show like this.
Mm.
And two, a lot of shit came before this, and I think a lot of their choices were trying to steer away from what had been done before. Multi-season long arcs. The Doctor is, we don't know. Maybe he's not a good guy anymore. He's quite questionable things he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
The Time Lords, yes or no? Oh boy, I'm got a Dalek in me now.
Right.
Old villains. And you could let's take half of those things out. If you take them all out, it's just a sci-fi show where every week something kind of weird happens.
Right.
And we move on.
Yeah.
And then instead of using things that we know that are established in this world of ours, we just make up things on the spot. So here is a space racist in a leather jacket.
I know.
Who?
I know.
I mean, I didn't expect Davros to want to kill Rosa Parks, but are we ever going to see this person again? Is this the beginning of something?
Well, and then what happens with that guy is Ryan takes
murders him, basically.
He takes his time travel thing and sends him further back in time. Which I'm thinking,
oh God,
could potentially cause even more trouble.
Yeah.
Because we know he's a space racist. So if he goes back further in time, he could really mess up some civil rights stuff.
Yeah, he's going to shoot Abraham Lincoln or something.
Right.
I mean, earlier.
But still, it's just this is a bad idea. Not like we want to kill people in Doctor Who, but maybe send them to a space prison or something.
And maybe that's the third leg of the stool that I didn't realize needed three legs, is that all of their decisions in writing this are unconsidered. It's like they come up with something and they don't even think about what they're trying to say.
And that was one of my biggest
where
problems.
You
with
have
it.
something that is, even Doctor Who has always been, you want to be as weird as possible. Go ahead.
Right.
But the moral, the theme, the point is always simple. I use the example of the Doctor and Martha find themselves on a planet where humans are fighting a race of fish people, and they are immediately captured, and they put the Doctor's hand into the thing, and it draws his blood, and it creates a new human being who says that she's the Doctor's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And then Martha ends up with the fish people, and they're walking around, and we find out they've been fighting for thousands of years. This war has been going on. It's important. And then at the end of the episode, the Doctor reveals that they've been fighting for about 3 days or something like that.
Right.
Because these machines keep making new people. And so guess what that means? War is futile.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Right.
And then the daughter gets shot. And then so it's also cruelty is bad.
Yeah.
And then the Doctor refuses to retaliate. And so refusing revenge and forgiveness is important.
Absolutely.
These are easy points.
Yeah.
What is the point of Kerblam?
I don't know. And
Yes.
it seems like that should have been really easy.
Yeah. Now, you can fail at giving a point, or you can go the extra mile and make a bad point.
Yes.
I feel like every time, I feel like they're trying to do, they are trying to do social commentary this year. So popular. And they're screwing up every chance to make social commentary.
Flat
They're
on
not
their
even
face.
presenting a nuanced look at a tough situation. So let's take Kerblam, for instance. At the end of the episode, it turns out that people who want to fight against a gigantic capitalist corporation taking over everything are bad, and the people that work for the corporation are good. Both the people who work in the guts, mopping or spending 14 hours a day wrapping packages are good.
Yeah.
And the idiot CEOs are good too. They don't know what they're doing. They're just good people.
Right.
Amazon's
try.
okay, everybody.
Yeah.
It's no.
That seems
Bezos bought The Expanse, not Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Why would you? Why?
I know.
What?
I don't understand why they're doing that. And then also we're taking the guy who let's also vaporize this kid who probably instead of creating an army of robots should have maybe created a union of humans. But we're just going to kill him because he's a bad guy in this somehow. And I have another question about that episode specifically. So,
Sure.
so the bubble wrap.
Getting a lot out of this episode.
I know the bubble. It's one of I think the worst ones of the season.
I think a lot of people disagree with you, but continue.
Well, so the bubble wrap acts as a bomb and basically blows up the person who pops it, right?
Yeah.
So then why is there also a vat of goo with like little ankle bracelets that is supposedly vaporized
For
or
some
glued
reason, he's
down
melting
humans?
people. I don't remember. I don't know why.
It's weird.
They get too close or something.
Yeah, I don't
know.
get it.
Yeah, I don't know.
And
Spyfall. We're just talking about Spyfall.
we just don't do. Okay, one
so
other
anyway,
thing
we
is
quit, and then
Yeah.
an entire year went by,
Mhm.
18 months actually, where we didn't watch Doctor Who, and then we thought, okay, Doctor Who's coming back, we need to talk about it, so we will, and then we caught up, watched the last year's New Year's special, and then watched this year's New Year's special, which is the first
Spyfall.
episode of the new season.
Oh, yeah.
Spyfall Part 1. And that's where we are. So here we go.
I just want to say
Let's bring back. Spoilers for Spyfall Part 1.
Yeah.
Let's bring back the Daleks, even though we've completely resisted doing that. We'll just do it. And then, you think they played chicken with the ratings and lost? And then it's like, hey, if you like recurring villains,
Yeah, I know.
here's the master.
I know.
Even though that doesn't make any sense
No.
on a show that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
She killed themselves. They killed themselves.
Yeah, right.
There is no master.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure that's happened before, but what? It's such a dumb decision, in my opinion. If you need to, I agree that I think the Doctor does need a nemesis.
Right.
If you need that, make a good one.
Right.
But you can't. We confirmed that you can't. So you cast a new master, and it's like, well, what's his depiction going to be? Oh, like, you remember Jared Leto's Joker?
Yeah.
You got it. As far as the reveal goes, I mean, it has to come at the end of Part 1, but what was his plan if she didn't point out that he should be able to run? In fact,
I don't know.
If it was, would there have been a bomb? Would he have blown the plane up if she had not figured it out? At this point, look, we've
Yes,
had.
I think he would have.
It's totally unmotivated. He's a totally different character, and then suddenly he's the master. They've done that before. I think that that's bad writing, but that's not out of character. But up till that point, was anything going to happen if she hadn't said anything? He's just carrying around a little man, and check out what I got at Waldrug. It's a little man in a matchbox, who I guess was the original or
person.
whatever.
Yeah.
But like, that doesn't really matter, because the prop master had a really good idea, and then she points that out, and he blows up the plane. Would any of that were they just going to get there if she hadn't said anything?
No, I think
It's
he
crazy.
would. I think he would have blown up the plane no matter what, and he would have escaped somehow. But he was just trying to play it
But
off
why
like
not
he was
have that-
like the whole time.
But why not have that matter to the story?
Yeah.
Chris
I
Chibnall
hear ya.
scripts are like the bare bones. They're like an outline of a Doctor Who script where you write in, the Doctor meets an alien she doesn't recognize. They discuss what it is. There's some kind of weird thing. They run to another location. They discuss what they're going to do next. And then under all those, you put, come up with something good. Fill this out later. And nothing ever gets filled out.
Yeah. I hear
It's
you.
just, and it's just like the barest bones of ideas. Like, it's spies. So she's going to wear a bow tie.
I know.
Because a bow tie, she's not even wearing a tuxedo.
Well, her outfit is weird.
She's
it's
wearing
it's a play.
she's wearing 11th Doctor cast-offs. And it's just like, I guess she's wearing a tuxedo or something. And then we're going to go to a party
Yep.
where there's gambling
Yep.
because
Spies.
James Bond.
Yeah.
Even though the gambling has nothing to do with anything, and the
Nope.
party scene is about 4 minutes long.
Yes.
And she confronts the villain, which is another thing. When usually the villain has the good guy in a death trap, and
Yeah.
he's like, "Let me just tell you the whole plan."
Right.
And so we have a scene kind of like that, and then they chase him on his own motorcycles.
and he's
And
in the
he's
car.
like, instead of
Yeah.
like just stopping the car and being like, "Why are you following? I'm going to call the police. Stop following me." He's like, "Kill them." So he shoots at them. And then
I
he gets
know.
where he's going, which is an airport, has not killed them, and is like, "Oh, they're probably dead." Like, it just,
yeah,
you have
but
decided to
fair.
murder someone today.
Yeah.
You don't just go, "Well, now time to get on the plane.
And when did he get off?
I'll take a Diet Coke."
Yeah, when did he get off the plane, and how is the plane flying without
Doesn't matter.
anybody?
There are light aliens, David Bowie aliens
Yeah.
from the Ashes to Ashes video that
Yeah.
teleport you. That does not matter at all. So it's very disappointing, and honestly, they've brought the Master back. We just got done with a controversial Master. Don't get me wrong, I loved Missy as the Master,
I
but
did
a lot
too.
of people didn't, and we went to the trouble of having her be like the co-lead of the show. Like she
Yeah.
was traveling with him, and she was showing up all the time. We just went through all that. Why is your first instinct bring the Master back?
I think they were thinking of.
And I'd be like, I'm so crazy. Woo! I'm crazy.
Yeah, I know. I think
Spies.
their New Year's special last year was the Daleks,
Ugh.
and they were like, "How can we top that?" And they were like, "Well, not
bottom
Cybermen, but how about the Master?"
Yeah.
And then also like these light alien
And he
guys
just
that are
is
also
standing
alien spies.
In the alley, whatever, the aisle of the plane, and he's like, I'm the Master. Great stuff. What if her, having read the file, doing the work, the intelligence of a spy,
Yeah.
meant that he had to do his thing early? Maybe we'll find out when the sequel episode comes out. But because he had to set the bomb early, they're not in the right spot, so they're not going to run into a mountain or a time warp that they were supposed to.
Sure.
That's just my thing with, like, what if she hadn't said anything? Would it just have gone forward? It's so weak. It'd be hard. You couldn't. This is GOAT. But like when Derek Jacobi was the Master, that completely changed the story in a devastating way. They're trapped on this planet in the year 10 trillion at the end of time, and there's space zombies that want to eat everybody, and they're banging on the door, and all they need to do is just get through this door. Basically like, getting into the TARDIS.
Mm-hmm.
And Derek Jacobi realizes he's the Master. He shoots the nice scientist lady that had been helping them the entire time, and then he locks the TARDIS, and he's like, bye, and he just leaves, and now they're trapped on space zombie planet with no TARDIS. What happens?
Right.
I am the Master. Would you like a magazine?
Yeah. Yeah, that was a huge reveal, and this, like you've said, like it just pales in comparison. I feel like they could have done a better reveal than this.
Was their dumb thing, because they can't do anagrams anymore, was their incredibly dumb thing that he was a spy master? And it's like, Doctor, it was right in front of you the entire time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the Doctor also does not enjoy Master and Commander, the far side of the world. She could never be in a sub-dom relationship. Whenever she plays video games, it's always on expert, but not master. Does she just avoid the word master wherever she goes?
Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if that were the case.
When she's referring formally to a young boy, she can't call him master. She hates Alfred irrationally from Bruce Wayne's house.
And then, like, at the end of the episode, he sends her to, like, this weird forest thing that Yaz was in before.
Which Yaz got out of before.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
And was, as far as we know, never in any danger, only scared because she had no idea what was going on. I'm just presuming that the Doctor will
get out of it somehow.
Get out of it. So.
But the three humans are stuck on the plane with a bomb and apparently no parachutes. So she's freaking out because she's like, they're going to die.
I'm never sure how time travel works on Doctor Who, but if she does, and she will inevitably get out, and then something that's always a problem in Doctor Who, which is, let's get out of this machine that can take us anywhere, then we end up somewhere else, and we want to go, but we're not with that machine anymore. Where do we park the car?
Right.
In this episode, she just summons the TARDIS to her. Isn't it this one? Yeah. Or is it in, maybe it's in the last year's New Year's thing. So we've already established that that's no longer a problem. She can just boop and summon the TARDIS to her. So she gets out of the wire place, summons the TARDIS to her. It's a time machine. Goes back in time to the plane.
Yeah.
Saves everybody.
Right.
It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Spies.
I know.
In this episode, you've got, he's got a code name. You've got Stephen Fry. For no good reason.
No.
Who is C, and I don't get the joke. But
I think they just wanted a
He is
letter other than M.
brutally murdered
Yes.
he was shot in the back of the head by aliens who shoot lasers, but also they've got a gun, I
Bullets
guess.
somehow. Yeah.
One guy's old school. He insists on having a gun. There is literally like a blood splatter and an impact, and it's like, Doctor Who.
I know.
Why? People
know.
fall down. They're dead. We get it.
Yeah.
He's dead. We still don't know why. The bad guy is a guy who was like formerly worked for British intelligence, in this case MI6, and he is, he has started a company,
Right.
I guess with his knowledge, which is something that I could see happening if you had some
Vor
kind of
or something like that.
yeah.
I think it's called.
It's Google, but
Yeah.
it's Vor. Which we already did that with
Yep.
the episode Dalek. Henry Van Patten, he owns the internet.
Yep.
It's so woefully out of date now.
I
though.
know.
Just call him Jeff Bezos. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much it,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, and like the guy who's head of Vor is 7. He's like what
93%.
Yes, 93% human. So what
Less
is the
pure
7%?
than ivory soap.
Yeah. So what's the other 7%?
They have gadgets like. The problem is that I don't think spy fiction is distinct enough from Doctor Who in order to do a spy episode.
That might be.
They've got gadgets where they're like, turning off cameras or whatever, which I guess they forget to use in the guy's office because he sees them on camera.
Fair.
But I mean, I feel like the Doctor could just do that anyway,
With her sonic, yeah.
So
absolutely. She
I
could do anything.
I think this is a good idea.
Oh.
And I think that it is not executed well. And it just, unfortunately, seems like a sign that the show is just going to continue bumbling its way along.
Yeah. I think it's smart that they want to tackle social issues, but I don't think that they are being smart about it.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they're doing it well.
It's a good thing that the Doctor was in Selma that day
Oh, boy.
and helped Rosa Parks find the courage.
Well,
to...
I have issues with that because they're like, we can't change history, but we have to make sure the history happens the way it happened.
Yeah, but they had to stop that space races.
I know.
And the Doctor didn't know that Ryan was going to just throw him into the void.
She doesn't get mad at him about it either. It's like,
No. The
Should've been
last
like, you
episode
can't
of
do
last
that.
season, Graham, if you murder Tooth Guy who killed your wife,
Right.
even in self-defense, you can't travel with me anymore.
right.
Oh, well, I got to struggle with that, Doc. And then, next episode, F you, Dalek, you're dead. I'm going to melt your ass.
I know. And I think that's just the Doctor's mentality
It's
towards
just-
Daleks.
There's nobody at the wheel.
Yeah.
This show is flying like the TARDIS.
Mm.
Well, we crapped quite a bit on that. Do you want to wrap it up by talking about a movie that one of us brought up before that hasn't aged well, but I think is a great example of what people wanted from a spy movie
Yeah.
at the height of spy movies, or at least conspiracy movies, and that is the movie 3 Days of the Condor.
Yes.
It was a book called 6 Days of the Condor.
Yeah.
They couldn't afford that. So it's just three. It's just
It's
3
just
days.
3 days.
Yeah. Starring our ya boy,
Robert Redford.
Robert Redford.
So he just a book reader. Like they read books and everything that's sort of written, and they work for the CIA.
Now, I don't know if this is real or not, but another trope of spy fiction is that they'll go, I mean, if it's trying to be realistic and not like Doctor Who, we will go to insane extremes to protect Americans and their way of life and interests.
Yeah.
And so in this, they have like a Google book scanner, but it's 1975.
Right.
And they're basically just like scanning books in, and they're reading these books, and they're looking for like any connections, anything that could be a code or could be relate to any operations that they have
Right.
going on. And for me, it seems like I don't think you need to worry about that copy of Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm. Do you know what I mean?
right,
Is that
right.
really going to be a problem? But there's this almost religious sort of commitment to our side,
Right.
and so that's what he does, and he does not really care or take it seriously, but he's a
No.
genius,
Right.
And so he figures out, wait a minute, like I'm finding these. I guess he finds books that are published in some languages but not others.
Yeah.
And so he thinks that
There's some
they
weird
would then be
thing there.
important to people who could read them or would use them, as like some kind of code, which is another thing that you see in fiction, like book codes
Sure.
is a thing. I could give you like a page number of a certain kind of book, and then like the first letter of the first word, or even the word itself could like spell out a message or something like that. Like
Absolutely.
Cryptography and codes are important to this. And so, so he writes like a paper about how he thinks that this could be a thing. Just look into it, I guess. It gets bumped up to the head office, and before you know it, everybody's dead, and nobody's going to eat those sandwiches.
Yeah. He went out to get lunch, and that's the only reason why he wasn't killed. And he like calls it in to like the head office and everything, and they tell him to call back and all this stuff, and it's like he's gonna go meet some guys that he's never met before, and they're like, well, we'll bring along somebody who you know. And they bring along a friend of his from way back when, and the guy who's in charge of his department has a gun, and he shoots at him, and you're like, and then it's like, whoa, double cross, because you thought like this is the company, this is the CIA, this is who he's working for, so why are they shooting at him?
Right.
And his friend ends up dead. He shot the guy who was the head of the department. He ends up in the hospital.
And then he dies somehow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mysteriously. Somebody pulled the plug or something like that.
Right. Department head of the CIA who was shot by a double agent, a traitor, in an alley, goes to a hospital.
Yeah.
No guards.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Well, they got him before CIA knew about it or whatever, or could intervene.
It was on the news.
Yeah, well, they got to him before the CIA could, so supposedly.
We know that, no, that's not right. He
That's
just
what
died
they
because,
said.
well, that was an excuse then, because Robert Redford waited to watch the news to hear about the incident. It was on the news, so if the news knows, the CIA knows that their man is in the hospital.
Well,
So now you can tell me that, well, remember that we're going to find out that the CIA is in on this thing. There's a CIA inside the CIA. And so they just told the guy guarding him to go cop a walk, and then they took care of it. But we didn't, all we saw was a heart monitor go flat.
Yeah, I know.
So they just weren't interested in telling that part of the story.
No.
Also, why was it important that guy died? Just so we know that he was dead? Because it's not like Uncle Ben didn't, Cliff Robertson, didn't give him extra grief because, like, the man you shot died. Like, nobody ever brings that to this guy at all.
No.
When he's trying to get them to bring him in.
Right.
That's a spy thing.
Yes.
I'm on the outside. You got to bring me in.
Right.
I got to come in from the cold.
Right.
Yeah.
He goes into a store,
But
and
instead, he kidnaps Faye Dunaway.
Yeah. At gunpoint.
Who's also in, all movies in the 70s were paranoid movies, I guess, but he's also in a lot of paranoid movies. And then they have sex where she is terrified, and rightly so.
Yeah, she's, he's like tied her up and pointed a gun at her quite a bit. And then it has somehow decided it's time to have sex. And she has a boyfriend, but she's like, well, I guess I'll just go along with this. And she just goes along with it. But yet she looks terrified at points while they're having sex.
It doesn't work.
No.
At all. And it's the 70s. It's a horny decade. It's a Hollywood movie. It's two of the most beautiful people in the world. They're going to bang. We get it. But have them bang. Just do it. Have the relationship be more than her being, she's a great actress, being very effectively terrified of him the entire time.
Yes.
Instead of that, have her begin to sympathize with him because she helps him like immediately after.
Yeah.
But instead she's like scared the whole time. He negs the pictures that she takes.
Yep.
And they're doing it.
Yeah, I know. It just
and then they choose to, like you said, they choose to film it. It isn't like, boy, I'm scared, but maybe being scared makes me horny, and this is Robert Redford,
Right.
So like, oh, well, I'm kind of getting into this. No, they make sure to show you that she feels good, then she's wildly looking around like while he's penetrating her.
Yes.
And, ew. This is code
gross.
name, ooh, as we say in the spy trade.
Yeah. It doesn't work. And then afterwards, the movie seems to compound the fact that it doesn't work, because she calls it like spy fucking. And then like she apologizes to him for like saying that, like, because like that was like something like really horrible that
Yeah,
she
I think they
did.
called it something other than lampshading in the 70s, but as long as you point out that it was weird, it's fine. And then the rest of the movie, it's fine until he just throws her out of the movie and it didn't ever really matter. And this happens a lot. This whole, I need your help. Just help me.
Yeah.
And then, oh, we're in love. Like the Bourne Identity is a great example of that.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I guess I don't remember what she was doing. She was a German college student or something. I don't remember what she was doing before all this happened. Before he gives her, or she ends up running her scooter business in the tropics. And then
Right.
Carl Urban shoots her in the face in the second movie.
Right.
Spoilers, I guess, for the Bourne Flippy Floppy, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
But, you know, the truth of the matter is, being afraid for your life is not hot.
No.
But it is
No.
in spy movies, though.
I don't know what it is. Like,
So that's weird. And I feel like the ultimate... it's supposed to be unsatisfying. You know, Max von Sydow kills everybody you know. And
Yep.
then at the end, he's like, well, nobody's paying me to kill you. Hey, where'd you go to school? You
I
want to
know.
get a burger?
I know.
And you think like... I don't know. I think now... Robert Redford, if we made that movie now, he would shoot him. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
I mean, he's not a killer, even though he kills the mailman. But
Yeah.
but it's supposed to be. You're not going to get an answer. It's not going to be satisfying. The answer
Right.
is the people that run the company you work for tried to kill you. Very unsatisfying. The guy who killed a lot of those people. He doesn't care. He doesn't
No.
have. He's the opposite of "we'll do anything to protect America." He just wants the money,
Right.
And so he bears you no ill will, and he's going to give you a lift to the bus station, and then you confront Uncle Ben at the end,
Yeah.
and he's like, also like, you think that you've found something amazing here? Like this game is going to go on and on, but as a viewer, I'm disappointed because it's about oil. I know it's the 70s.
I know.
Maybe this is, if it was about oil now, say, for instance, Trump is like, let's invade Iraq, and then we'll get their oil.
Yeah.
And then they can buy the oil back from us, or whatever his incredibly stupid plan or saying was.
Right.
Yeah, we get that it's about the oil.
Yeah.
But the movie played it like some huge, oh
Reveal.
my God, Arabic. That means it's about the oil.
I know.
That's your climax?
It was
That's your climax.
disappointing.
Yeah. Also, the movie starts with a goofy, groovy, funky soundtrack. That's like,
Yeah.
is this a spy movie?
And he's riding his motorized bicycle into work. It's just it's very goofy.
But it's, I guess it's supposed to be, you don't know what's coming, but
Right. And
Yeah, but-
he's just like a red
90
American
seconds
guy.
in, Max von Sydow staring at your office from across the street. Doesn't matter how funky the music is. Like, I know what's going to happen. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was disappointed. I'd never seen it before until I
Yeah.
saw it recently, and I was disappointed. Like, the conversation came out in '74. Like, so they're definitely doing good quote unquote spy films back then, but I
Yeah.
was not blown away. But then again, when you think about it, this was a Hollywood blockbuster film.
Yeah.
How often are Hollywood blockbuster films really, really get in there, really dig in?
Yeah, I mean when you put it that way.
Even when the Coen brothers do a spy film, it's Burn After Reading.
Right.
Which is like this huge cluster F of just people who are all dumb and yet are all somehow in charge of our safety.
Well, what I want to know, so it ends very unsatisfactorily. What is he gonna do now? Like, is he gonna just go back to his apartment, find another job somewhere?
He'll die.
Okay,
Somebody will
All
pull
right.
up next to him,
sure.
give him a warm, inviting smile,
Yeah.
and he'll get shot.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Great.
Well, look, last year he beat the establishment by taking down Nixon. This year he's
Right.
going to lose to the establishment
Yeah,
by being shot in
okay.
an alley.
Awesome.
Anything that any favorite trope of yours, or anything that you'd like to see that you think doesn't happen enough in a spy film?
I'd like I know like there's the trope of the femme fatale, so I think I'd like to see actually more men be like, oh, you think it's this, and
You want a
now it's
male
that.
honey trap?
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
okay.
see that.
Sure,
I haven't seen that.
probably on Killing Eve.
Maybe, yeah.
Although
could-
do they know what the story is? Because I don't even know what the story is.
I don't think they
But
do.
Fiona Shaw's used to date like the Elle's handler, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah. I'd like to see that. How about you?
I think as we see more women in positions of authority, not only in the world but in the intelligence community, we'll definitely have to have that.
Mm-hmm.
I bet the CIA has that right now. They've just got a bunch of F boys, with code names all ready to go.
Sure.
I like this in cop movies too, but I really like the undercover double agent, like the cover type thing.
Sure.
And that's why I probably would have loved The Americans if I didn't think it was so sloppily plotted. But I love when they have to just be like, now I'm a vacuum salesman from Cleveland or something like that. And then their entire lives are a lie too. And their kids think that they're just
I know
soccer parents and he's a plumber or sells plumbing supplies or something.
Yeah.
I love that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't think you see it anymore because now it's go, go, go. And they're doing fast roping down into some dusty town and just shooting people in the face. But we must have, the CIA has to have like assets who are like, it's like an Arabic guy that lives in Iraq or something like that. And he's like, boy, I wish I could find a job. And he goes back to his apartment and he's like, secret WhatsApp message. I contacted the target today. They're trying to radicalize me,
Right.
And I'll give you the names. And I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Very cool.
I want to see more of that.
Yeah. That's fun.
And watches that do crazy things.
Yeah, why not? That's fun.
This one's got a microwave in it. You can cook your pizza in 5 minutes. And yourself and everybody around you.
Oh no.
Put your arm in this Faraday cage and then cook this pizza.
You know what I saw recently, speaking of spy watches? There's this Japanese gadget that it's like a watch, but you can put like a small meal in there, and like there's like some like 5-star chef who's like putting in like little grains of rice and like this little like flour made out of carrots or something like that, and you click it open, and so you can eat a meal on the go, just a little snack, and then you push this button and these two things come out, and you push buttons on them and they become chopsticks.
How big is the watch?
It's only about an inch across.
Yeah. Well, anybody can just eat, take a tablespoon from whatever's at the bottom of your garbage disposal and just throw that in your mouth. That's not a meal.
I know.
I want, Japanese spy fiction.
Yeah.
What's that like, do you think?
Oh, boy. A bunch of double cross and, probably lots of Yakuza, I think.
That's racist.
Well,
the gadgets alone.
Yeah, the gadgets would be really cool.
Come on.
Yeah, for sure.
What if it was really low tech instead?
Like they'd have a watch that would print out a ream of paper.
They're like, "Whoa, what does your watch do?" He's like, "Tells time." Something I can say. Oh, it's waterproof too.
Right.
Give me the documents.
What a thrill with darkness and silence through the night.
Well, it's funny to dig into something that everybody's familiar with because it just feels didactic to try to talk about the specific elements of it. But there's things that you don't think of, and then when it's executed not well, there's things that are missing that make it what it is.
Yeah.
And I hope that we covered some of those things. Although, like I said, I do want to see more deep cover people, operatives.
Yes.
I love the idea of some guy who is just like a cab driver in Beirut, and he's just living his life.
Right.
Hopefully he can get these fares, and then he gets a message on his WhatsApp. I don't know why I'm into WhatsApp today. Or he gets somebody sends him a letter, and it's from your Aunt Petunia, but the letters all form a thing that says, you are activated.
Right.
Come to this time at a certain time. And he's like, oh no. That's Tuesday's the day that I do lift. So yeah, I'll start working on that, and I'll let you know when it's done.
Sounds good.
You can let us know what you think about that idea, or about today's trope, or just pretty much anything that we talked about today on our social media. Join us. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. and let you know what you think of the show. Also, join us in discussion on our Discord. We have a Discord for the entire network, the Just Enough Trope Network, discussing TV shows, movies, games, music, all the sort of nerdy and genre things that you enjoy is the stuff that we're discussing. So join us. There's a link in the show notes for that. While you're listening to our show, if you subscribe to us on one of the listening platforms that is out there, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, the like, we appreciate it. And if you don't, please subscribe to us on one of those platforms. That's important. That lets those people who run those things, the robots, know that we're doing a good job, especially when you leave us a review as well. We'd appreciate it. We don't, never really been sticklers for pushing for reviews, but I've noticed that has left us with not a lot of reviews. So I know that people listen and enjoy the show, but if you listen and enjoy the show, leave us a review. It doesn't have to be long. Just say thanks. We'd appreciate a high rated review, but be honest. Give us 5 watches that do things. Boy, you don't even know. This is, it's like the Swiss Army knife. Remember the Swiss Army knife?
Yeah.
They still exist.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, having a Swiss Army knife was the best thing that you could have.
Oh, sure.
When nowadays, how ridiculous is that?
Well,
nobody uses the toothpick.
Right.
Nobody uses the little scissors. I have a multi-tool for when I'm working around the house and stuff like that. Works fine. But you get the really good one. It's about 2 inches wide.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And it's got 8 different blades.
Uh-huh.
It's got a pocket mirror in there.
Right.
It's got a prophylactic. Of course, you need that. Completely crazy and ridiculous.
Yes.
So forget that. Just give us 5 stars instead. We'd appreciate it. We'll be back next week to talk about something else. And until then, we're signing off. I'm your host, Caliban.
I'm your co-host, Mikan Hana.
Keep the geek fires burning.